Hi everybody, welcome to week 4 from the course of SOC 1010, Introduction to Sociology, Chapter 7, Class and Stratification in the United States. One of the greatest and deepest and sometimes most philosophical topics in the history of sociology, in the ancient part, not as a science, and the modern part as a science studying of social human being. And at first, again, we have some questions for deeper thinking. How do you define the middle class? How does poverty affect someone's life chances? Is there any relationship between your poverty level or level of poverty and poverty line and socioeconomic class status, CS, and with your life chances and opportunity? And can individuals change their social class? Is it possible from going to go from one class to another class? We have some chapter outline here. What is social stratification? Systems of stratification, classical perspectives on social class, contemporary sociological models of the U.S. class structure, inequality in the United States, poverty in the United States, and sociological explanations of social inequality in the United States. Okay. Again, we have 8 important and more awakening, more consciousness raising questions. At first, about the power of class, social class. Most US adults say that they have achieved the American dream. Is there any American dream or not? How do you think about it? It's the land of opportunities, land of chances, home of chances, America, home of dreams, land of dreams. And there's something so-called American dream, an American lifestyle dream here. How do you think about it? Is it most US adults say that they have achieved the American dream or not? False. Not most of them, or some of them. Individuals over age 65 have the highest rate of poverty. Is it true or not? Sometimes it is the time of retirement, and you may think that they should be at the highest rate of poverty. There's no enough and no good economical support, but the answer is again false. Compared with other developed nations, the United States has one of the highest rates of childhood poverty. Economic and health system for children under the age of 12. How do you think? In compared with other developed nations, like some countries in Europe, like some countries in the southeast, Far East, like Japan, one of the most developed nations, the United States has one of the highest rates of childhood poverty. Is it true or false? Is it true? Unfortunately, is it true? In the United States, a family of 4 is considered to be poor if the household earns less than $40,000. Is it true or false? Is it false? Not poor. It's not good, but not poor. The wealthiest person in the world is from the United States. You can check the Forbes magazine and see every year wealthiest person and also wealthy persons. Is it true or false? No, is it not true? And slavery still exists in the United States with a lot of basic and traditional efforts by, for example, Abraham Lincoln. Is the slavery still exist in the United States? True. We will talk about it in the future topics of the chapter. Some states have a higher minimum wage than the federal minimum wage. Is it true or false? Yes. And since the 1970s, the gap between the rich and the poor in the United States has decreased significantly. Is it true or false? Is it false? So now, with the first questions and with this checking, you are ready to enter the chapter to know about the different social classes, different criteria, and also for having a good uh, looking at the interpretation and the stratification in the especially society of United States. Social mobility. What is social mobility? Social mobility is the movement of individual or groups from one level in a stratification system to another level. We have two types of social mobility: intergenerational and intragenerational. When you are talking about the prefix of inter, it is mean that inside. For example, it is outside, between. But when you are talking intra, it is within. For example, you say interpersonal relationships, relationship with other people, but intra relationship is means relationship with yourself. So inter is a prefix, so means uh, extra, between, and intra is within. Intergenerational mobility, as we say, social mobility is the movement of an individual or group from one level of social class in a stratification system to another. Intergenerational mobility is the social movement experienced by family members from one generation to the next generation. It is intergenerational. But intragenerational is the social movement of individuals within their own lifetime. For example, changing the social class between me and my son, it is intergenerational. For example, I may be at the middle class and my son, I wish, will be at the highest class or high class, high social class. Okay? It is intergenerational. But if I am, for example, at the age of 20, I'm at the middle class and working and making money and education and reputation and other interpersonal communication, I shift my social class from middle class at the age of 20 to, for example, high level class at the age of 40. It is intragenerational. It is for my lifetime, not for with me and from me to my, for example, next generation. It is intragenerational. And social stratification, what is the definition? Social stratification is a hierarchical arrangement of large social group based on their control over basic resources. So we have here some keywords. It is at first hierarchical: first grade, second grade, third grade, grade, upper grade, final grade. And second, it is large, not about the small social groups, based on one, control over resources. So we have three keywords in the definition of social stratification. One, hierarchy. Two, large. Three, resources, basic resources. Each of the social groups which have a more control over the resources, social resources, or more availability to the basic social resources, they are at the higher level of social stratification, social classes. So one of the basic criteria to determine what is your or your family or your own person, your family, your for example, uh, even sometimes it is racial, sometimes it is ethnical. What is this, for example, this minority in the United States? What is the ranking of social class? It is related to the how many of basic resources they have control over. More control over, higher social classes. Social strategy refers to society's categorization, hierarchical arrangement, categorization of its people into groups based on socioeconomic factors like wealth, income, race, education, gender, occupation, social status, or derived power. It is social derived power or political derived power. As such, stratification is relative social position of person within a social group, category, geographic region, or social unit. And life chances and systems for social stratification. Max Weber had coined a term, it is called life chances, refers to the extent to which individuals have access to important societal resources as food, clothing, shelter, education, healthcare. So what are the basic words, what are the key words in the definition of life chances? It is first extent, two access, three resources. In which extent you have access to the resources. More access, more resources, more extent, more life chances. And systems of stratifications include slavery, caste, and class or social class. We can divide, we can have some stratifications based upon the slavery, based upon the caste, and based upon the class. The life chances of people living in each of these systems differ widely. So one of the greatest, one of the crucial, one of the basic criteria for distinguish one system of stratification from another system of stratification. For example, how can you determine that it is social stratification based upon the caste system or slavery or class? One of the basic criteria for distinguish between different systems for stratification of social classes, social status is life chances. Life chances is differ. Available life chances are differ from each of them. So you can see systems of stratification include slavery, caste, and class. The life chances is differ widely. Okay. What is slavery system as a system of social stratification? Slavery is an extreme form of stratification in which some people are owned or controlled by others for the purpose of economic or sexual exploitation. First, own or control. Two, exploitation. More basic of everything is extreme. So we have three keywords here for a slavery system as a system of social stratification. It is extreme form of stratification. You are owner or you are controller. The controller other people for exploitation. Exploitation is the greatest and most important word in the definition of slavery system, exploitation. And also sometimes this owning is very important, not even controlling. At the extreme exploitation is related to owning other people. You are the owner of another human being. A caste system is a closed system. It's extreme form. It is a closed system of social inequality in which people's status is permanently determined at the birth based on their parents' ascribed characteristics. It is like a kingdom. I'm king, and my son is my prince. I'm a worker, and my son is the next generation of workers. Okay? So, when you're talking about the caste, I know that the terminology of caste is rooted in Sanskrit, Indian language, and some ancient parts of India has this type of social stratification. So you know that casting is very basic, but today it is not so out of order. You can see at a lot of part of your society all around the world, human society, human world. Why? Because some parts of future social prizes, social bonuses, social classes is based upon the primary and original family socio-status economic. So it is determined at the birth based on their parents' ascribed characteristic and permanently. So that is permanent. So what are the keyword? It is permanently, birth, and ascribed parents ascribe characteristic. The major phrase here is parents ascribe characteristic and birth also. The third system for stratification is class system. The class system is a type of open stratification. It is closed system. Caste system is very, very close. And slavery is very extreme. White or black, 0 or 1, dark or white, night or day. It is binary system. Slavery system is a binary system. Slave and owners, slave and owners, slave and owners. It is very extreme. But it is very closed. No other option. Why? Because it is determined at your birth time. What is your caste? It is based upon your permanently parents ascribed characteristic. It is permanently, no changing. It's your parent. You don't have any choose. You don't have any choice to choose your parent. It is not related to you that who is your parent. There's no choice. Also no ownership for having such a parent. And it is ascribed characteristics, predefined characteristic of your parents. But when system is not so close, it is open, based on the ownership and control of resources, and on the type of work that people do. So, class system is a good system. Why? At first it is open. You can move from one social class to another social class. In your lifetime, yes. And also for your next generation, again, yes. It's open. It is not related to your parent ascribed characteristic. It is not related to your, for example, color of skin. It is not related, it is not very extreme. Nobody is owner of another human being. Nobody can be the owner of another human being. We are not tools, we are human beings. It is very extreme. Slavery. And it is very close in the caste system. In social class system, we see that yes, you can shift based upon two things. One, resources. Two, work. How many ownership you have, how many control you have on the resources over the resources, and what is the social prestige, what is the social credit of your job, and we will talk about it. Classical perspectives on social class. At first, the word social class is about from Karl Marx. The capitalist class, bourgeoisie, consists of those who own the means of production. And proletariat, the working class, proletariat consists of those who must sell their labor to the owners in order to earn enough money to survive. So we have two types of people. Two-level class, two-form class, two-class system. Bourgeoisie and proletariat, and capitalist class and working class. Means of production owners and workers. It is two parts in the Karl Marx. Alienation is a feeling of powerlessness and estrangement from other people and from oneself. For example, one of the greatest and one of the most observable typical examples for alienation is immigration. When you are a permanent immigrant to another country, you will lose your identity. It is alienation. And what is the class conflict? It's the struggle between the capitalist class and the working class. class conflict in the theory, in the worldview, in the ideological perspective of Karl Marx. We have two social class, capitalist class and working class, and always we have some class conflict between these for gaining more resources, for control over more resources over workers, and from the side of workers for earning more money and easy money. As you see here, Marx's view of stratification, capitalists and workers. Capitalists are own and control means of production, achieve wealth through capital, through their capital. So they are up, and worker class are down. Work for wages, only for earning money, only at the level of survival, not at the level of welfare. In systems like this, we cannot see that the working class people are very rich people, never. Gaining money and wages are only at the level of, for example, survival, not to be rich, not welfare. And we will learn that it's displacement by machines or cheap labor. We can see a lot of examples just now in the world or even in America, especially there are also threats against your labor, as a cheap labor can come here, cheap workers can replace with you, and you will lose your work. And sometimes also machines. Why not? Technology is growing so fast, and after some years, you will see that a lot of workers don't have any job in the future, and the machines and robots are working instead of them, very so speedy, so high quality, and other things. Another scientist, another sociologist as a scientist, another thinker, deep thinker about the social human beings is Max Weber. Max Weber, with the greatest word and with the permanent phrase, bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is the dominance of papers and organizations over human resources. A large group of people who rank close to another another in terms of wealth, power, and prestige. It is the definition of social class. Max Weber refers to social class as a large group of people who rank close to one another in terms of wealth, power, and prestige. Relatively the same level of wealth, relatively the same relative power, relatively the same level of prestige. And wealth, what is the wealth? Definition of wealth. Wealth is the value of all of a person's or family's economic assets, including income, personal property, and income producing property. It is very important. Income producing property. It is also in the category of wealth. Assets, personal property, and income producing property. And prestige is the respect or regard that a person or status position is given by others. Social credit is prestige. And power is the ability of people or group to achieve their goals despite opposition from others. It is power. If you cannot fight for your goals, you are not power holder. You are not powerful. One of the greatest criteria for know that someone is powerful or not is the volume and the quality and the quantity of the fights, of the wars, of the struggles that he or she can win, can tolerate the opposition and go straight forward. As you see here, wealth, power, prestige, wealth, for example, rentiers, entrepreneurs, middle class, skilled labor, semi-skilled labor, and unskilled labor, for example, in wealth, from the high level of wealth to the lowest level. And power, position as high power within a bureaucracy, able to carry out own goals despite position, it is the high level of power, and the lowest level of power is a position ranking authority, must carry out the goals of others. And again, in high level of prestige, high social status, and low level of prestige, we have low social status. What is the definition of high social status? Entitled to differential or respectful treatment, and in lower level status we have received very little respectful treatments. And socioeconomic status, or SES. SES also used in the developmental psychology when we are talking about the midlife crisis and the generational gap. We will talk about the SES, socioeconomic status. SES definition: a combined measure that attempts to classify individuals, families, or households in the terms of factors such as income, occupation, education to determine social location, social status. So SES levels are high SES level, middle SES level, and low SES level. And what are the variables? What are the factors to determine the social level or socioeconomic status? It is income, education, and occupation. Income is your economic status. Education and occupation is your social status. Also, occupation, sometimes it is, yes, into economic status. You can see a very good painting here. 1880, painting by Jean-Jürgen Blond, showing the stark contrast in socioeconomic status at the end of the 19th century. But contemporary sociological models of the U.S. class structure. We talk about the two-class social class model. Two-class social class model. We have social class model with different numbers of class. At first, two-class social class model. It is for Marx, Karl Marx, Marxian model. The capitalist class and the working class. Another one is by Eric Wright, which is four-class social class model. Capitalist class, and at the end, working class. Between it is small business class, petty bourgeois, and the managerial class or managers. Small business class and managerial class. So at first is capitalist class, second one small business class, third one managerial class, and fourth one is the working class or workers. And sixth class social class model. It is for Gilbert and Cole. At the first, again, it is capitalist class, and 4, 5, 6 is about working class. Also 4 and 5. The 6 is the underclass out of the class. So the first one is capitalist class. For 2-class social class model, for 4-class social class model, for 6-class social class model, the first class is capitalist class. In 2-class and 4-class, the last class is also working class. The 2-class is social class at 2-class for Marx. 4-class has 2 extra between the capitalist class and working class. Small business class, a little under the capitalist class, and managerial class, a little over the working class. But in 6-class social class model, we have capitalist class again. The 6th one is underclass. So 4 and 5 is the working class, the working poor class. And the upper middle class, the lower middle class. So we have 3 major parts in 6-class social class model. Capitalist class, middle class, working class. Capitalist class is only one class. Middle class is upper middle class and lower middle class. Working class in working class and working poor class. And the number 6 is underclass, out of the class. You can see also in America about the underclass 5%, working poor class 20%, working class 30%, middle class 30%, and upper middle class 14%, and lower upper class is 0.5%, and upper class again. Comparison of Marx and Wright's models of structure class, which is 2-class social class and 4-class social class. You see, okay, capitalist class with a lot of money, a lot of dollar sign, and working class. It is managerial class and sub-business class. But inequality in the United States. So this is the end of the discussion about the social class in America. Inequality in the United States. What's the meaning of income? We have some word near together. For example, income, benefit, profit, outcome, loss, and cost. What is income? Income is the economic gain derived from wages, salaries, income transfers, and ownership of property. These are income. So at first, income is an economic unit. What is the source of income? Wages. So income is not only wages. One of the parts, one of the sources of the income is wages. Another one is salaries. Another with income transfers. Another with ownership of property. These are the source of income. Income is the economic gain derived from wages, 1, 2, salaries, 3, income transfers, and 4, property or ownership of property. And consequences of inequality: physical health, mental health and nutrition, housing, and education. We will talk about the inequality in the different chapters in this book and in this course, because one of the greatest problems in the old and in the tradition and the ancient part of history of human being even is social inequality. Sometimes it was like slavery. It is called slavery. It was called slavery with a lot of honor. Slaves should be so honorable to be a slave. It's very good for them, for social class, and for other things. But now we know that some inequality is very, very important. For example, in America, in Europe, in Middle East, in Far East, and it is an international motto that we are against inequality. And I don't know sometimes that how much of this motto is really expected in the real world, and how much is it only for as a motto and an idealistic position for the future. As we said in the beginning of the chapter, that is slavery still in America, and the answer was yes. We have some time of slavery in the America just now. Also, at least by the writer, by the view of the writer, of the author of this book. And physical health and mental health and nutrition and housing and education, different parts of consequences of inequality in the society. And poverty in the United States, the official poverty, the absolute poverty, and the relative poverty. What are the official poverty? The official poverty line, we have a poverty line, the line that say us how much is your distance to the minimum wages, minimum salary, minimum income unit to survive, you and your family member. It is poverty line. And different countries, based upon their gross national product, should determine how many dollars, for example, in America, how many dollars is for poverty line. Under that line, it is poverty. And we have the official poverty line, we have absolute poverty line, or relative poverty line. The official poverty line is based on what the federal government considers to be the minimum amount of money required for living at the subsistence level. So, official poverty line or official poverty is determined by federal government, not by the states. It is for all the states of America. For example, each year, federal government says that this amount of money is for uh, official poverty line. After that, it is absolute poverty. Absolute poverty exists when people do not have the means to secure the most basic necessities of life. It is absolute poverty. Absolute poverty exists when people don't have the means to secure the most basic necessities. After that, they will die. The most basic necessities is absolute poverty. And the relative poverty, yes, you are still alive, but you don't have any good situation, a good socioeconomic status. You are not happy, you don't have any welfare, you don't have any good health system and other things, but you are alive. It is not absolute poverty. When you are talking about the absolute, absolute means basic necessities of life. Basic necessities of life. But we say, yes, we are alive. When people may be able to offer basic necessities but are still unable to maintain an average standard of living. So we have three words with some keywords. For the official poverty, it is federal government and minimum and subsistence level. We have three words. At first, federal government. Second, minimum amount. Third, subsistence level. For the absolute poverty, we have basic necessities of life. For relative poverty, it is average standard. Relative, average standard. You see here EBT. It is very popular for the poor people in California. The California Electronic Benefit Transfer Card. It is EBT. A lot of stores, a lot of shopping stores, you see that we accept EBT, especially in the lower parts, in the some parts of downtowns in all the cities of California. You can see some shopping centers and some stores said we accept EBT. EBT, why it is installed and they established the EBT as an electronic card, because before that the government, the state will give some checks and some papers for food stamps and other things to the to poor people, but after that it is very it is in a black market for these papers, and government and the state sometimes again states give them to have good food, but they will transfer the checks and transfer the food stamps and other things. Now it is EBT. The California Benefit Transfer Card represents a modern approach to helping people of limited income purchase groceries. Data encoded cards such as this one were developed to prevent the trading or selling of traditional food stamps. Trading or selling. However, one drawback of this technology is that many of California's popular farmers markets are not able to process EBT cards. Sociological explanation of social inequality in the United States. We have four basic sociological approaches to the United States, to sociological issues, everything. At first, it is functionalist perspective. The Davis-Moore thesis argues that inequality is inevitable and necessary. It is one approach. What are you talking about? Do you want to delete the inequality as the nature of human beings, as the nature of social humans, or as the nature of human beings as the single persons? Everybody is unequal to other people because everybody is unique on his or her own. Okay, but it is uniqueness, not inequality. Equality is something different. It's inequality. When you're talking about inequality, you're talking about the social levels, about the races, about the ethnicities, about the religions, about the cultures, about the minorities, about the colors. For example, now we can see the movement of Black Lives Matters. It's a very, very inequality in the society of America. It's a very interesting and very huge movement. Why? It is about inequality. Some scientists of sociology says that it is necessary. You cannot avoid inequality. Inequality of the nature of the human society. But meritocracy is a hierarchy in which all positions are rewarded based on people's ability and credentials, competency. Yes, people are unequal. It is true, but not on the base of race, on the base of minority, on the base of community, on the base of color of skin, on the base of religion, on the base of ethnicity. People are unequal based on the competencies, based on the merits, based on their abilities, based on their talent, and other things. We are unequal, but it is very fair to be unequal when we have different merits, different competencies, different credentials. It is meritocracy. Meritocracy is very, very important all around the world in democratic governments. And the other one is conflict perspective. People with economic and political power are able to shape and distribute the reward, resources, privileges, and opportunities in society for their own benefit. Conflict perspective, always talking about the differences and the conflict and battle between these differences, for example, different social levels, different educational level, different sociological level, economical level, and cultural level, and other things. Conflict is a basic component of every human action in human societies. This is the part of conflict perspective. Those in power use ideology to maintain their favored position at the expense of others. Sometimes it is like abusive behaviors. Yes, sometimes it is like abusive behaviors. Why? Because I will gain my profits at expense of at your expense. You will work for my gain. It is a conflict between the different social levels for gaining more money, for gaining more means of production, for money, for gaining major political and social tools to control the resources of the society, resources of the world, to control over the all around the world. Every country should want to be a superpower and have over control in the other parts of the world. And it is international wars and international cold wars sometimes that you know better than me about this. Symbolic interactionist perspective. According to Goffman, difference is a type of ceremonial activity that functions as a symbolic means whereby appreciation is regularly conveyed to a recipient. It is symbolic interactions. Difference is as a type of ceremonial activity that functions as a symbolic means whereby appreciation is regularly conveyed to as a recipient. See that we have two types. We have two symbolic interactions. One is about difference. One is about appreciation. Both of them are symbolic means. It is ceremonial activity and it is recipient. Okay, at the end of this chapter, we talk about the different positions, different types of socioeconomical status, and different approaches to this part. And I wish you pass your weekly exam so good, and contact with me by my email at the faculty part of university, and have a good time. Bye.